The reading for today is by Longchenpa. He writes, "Since everything is but an apparition, perfect in being what it is, having nothing to do with good or bad, acceptance or rejection, one may well burst out in laughter."
I'm not one to hide my feelings about the things I really love and about the things I really like. I figure I'm not here for very long, not here. So what's the point? Why not tell everyone I love? Why not tell every person who does something that moves me? Why not just let them know? So Michael, I don't think it's a mystery how much I love you and how much I love your singing. I tell you every time. And I tell you in different ways because I think you should know it deep down inside how I feel about you. So I try different angles. Like, man, that was really good. Whoa, that was great. You're pretty good. So I try to get in there. But today I noticed something that I've never noticed before. That you're up there by the microphone and you're talking, telling a story, and then you say, okay, here I'm going to go. And right before you sing, you shift. It's almost like you sink into yourself and you become more you than you were before. I don't know if anybody has ever told you that or if you've ever noticed that, but when you start singing, it's like something takes a hold of you and just moves through you. I could call that spirit in action. I could say that song was inspired. I could say that song was a spirited rendition of Elton John. And I think you know what I mean, right? I think we'd all know what I mean when I say that was a spiritual moment for me. I'm here at the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. There's that word again, spiritual. As soon as I walked in here today, I noticed candles, I noticed carpet, I noticed clock, I noticed Janelle. But I also noticed a vibe that I can only call spiritual. So I think that people come here in the morning that you thanked earlier. Folks come in here to set that tone. Not only to light candles and to turn funky lamps on that look like they're made of paper, which I just think is really spiritual, but to set a vibration of being. There's a reason we meditate before the service, not only to help you out and say, well, if you want to come and be silent for a minute, that'd be great. We think it would be good for you. But it also sets the vibe in the room. We want it to feel spiritual. Spirit. It's almost like those folks who came in this morning were a spirit squad. A spirit squad. Spirituality, living in spirit. What if I told you, or what if I told Michael, instead of the Spirit moved you, what if I said, I feel like the Holy Spirit is in you? Would you feel completely different? If I said the Holy Spirit, oh no, that's what that other community says. We don't say Holy Spirit. We say Spirit. That's part of that Trinity. That's like a man and his kid, and then there's this vibration. So if I said Holy Spirit, you might think, no. That's not how I describe it. But this word spiritual, this word spirituality, this word spirit, Holy Spirit, it's present in so many corners of our community, of our human community, of this culture, of this world. I can have a spirited discussion. We can have a spirited conversation. I can feel that the Spirit moves me. I can call it the Holy Spirit. I can have a spiritual experience. I can have a spiritual discipline. I can tell you about my spirituality. But the question I've been asking myself all week long is, are we all talking about the same thing? Every time you hear that word spirit, spiritual, spirituality, is it all about the same thing? Are we all talking about the exact same presence, or are we confused? Do we have no idea what's going on and we just use these terms because we like them? Oh man, you were in the Spirit today. The Spirit is moving me. I got the Holy Spirit in my bones, in my fingers, in my toes, in my eyeballs. Are we talking about the same thing in every sense of the term? Every time we use that word Spirit, are we referencing the same reality? Or are we all just talking about different things? Well, if you're going to talk about a word, if you're going to talk about an idea, you should first define what the word means. Do you know where the word Spirit comes from? It comes, oh, here we go. I got to get in my professor stance. Spirit, derived from the Latin spiritus, comes from the Greek pneuma, first used in this context by the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Corinthians. First used the way we use it. He says that there are spiritual people. There are people who live according to the Spirit, informed by the Spirit, living not necessarily a life according to the flesh. That's the first time it's used. Pneuma becomes spiritus, becomes spirit and spirituality. Now, Paul was a Jew, a very, very educated Jew, so he probably was familiar with the creation story in the Torah, the creation myth. One of my favorite, probably my personal favorite, my number one. If you had my top 10 creation myths, this would be number one for me. And you've probably heard it before, but I'll tell it to you again. In the beginning, God takes the dust from the ground, the dirt, the muck, the clay. And God takes that dirt and he forms it into a shape. And then he lifts the dirt up, lifts the shape up, lifts the clay up, and breathes into it the breath of life. And that became a living being, a human. The word is ruah, the breath of God, translated as pneuma, spiritus, and spirit. We're all talking about the breath of God, the divine breath, the animating feature of life, that which moves through us and gives us life, that which breathes itself into us. Every time we use that term, we're talking about something just beyond the veil, what the Mayas call, or what the Hindus called Maya. The illusion that this is all there is. Anytime we use that word spirit, we're talking about the breath of God, that thing, that presence that moves and animates us. At the dawn of Homo sapien, when we first started thinking religiously, when we first started thinking at all, our first religious belief system was called animism. You know what animism is? It's really exciting. Animism is the belief that every living thing is animated by something. So these early humans are walking around and they're seeing trees and they're seeing ancient squirrels. I'm not sure if squirrels were the same back then, millions of years ago. They were big. They were monstrous squirrels with teeth. Yes, squirrels and brothers and sisters and friends. And they noticed something. These early human beings who just started to reflect on life noticed something. Everything is moving. Everything is alive. What is that life? What is that animating feature? What is that spirit that's behind all of this? What is it? Joseph Campbell tells a great story about the very first rituals of burial. He says that, imagine you're there and you're with your brother, your sister, your father, another human being, someone you love. And they're moving and they're walking and they're talking. And next thing you know, they're gone. Their body is there. Their physicality has not changed, but they have ceased to be animated. Where did it go? Where did it go and what is it? So we take that body and we return it to the ground. That's the origin of ritual. That's the first things human beings did. And of course, it's changed over the last thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, but we're still talking about the same thing. Michael, you're filled with the Spirit. I can feel the Spirit in this room. It's a spiritual community. We're still talking about the exact same thing, the breath of God, that which animates me, that which moves through me, that which gives me life and all life. Breathing into me. So I was thinking, what if it's as simple as that? What if this spiritual idea, this spirit, this spirituality, this breath of God, what if it is as simple as breathing? Maybe the ancient Jews were onto something. Maybe this term ruah. Maybe Paul knew what he was talking about when he said pneuma, maybe spirit to spirituality, this idea of breath. Maybe it has something to do with how we are participating in God's life. And if that's the case, all we have to do is understand breathing. Okay, raise your hand if you're breathing. If someone beside you didn't raise their hand, shake them and make sure they're still alive. Okay, so we're all breathing, right? Good. We're breathing. That's good. Wake up. We're breathing. Wake up. Okay, you're alive. You are taking breaths. Chances are you will continue breathing today. And you've been breathing your whole life. Breathing is something that you have been participating in for your entire life. Nay, it defines what life is. Oh, at least I'm still breathing. How are you today? Oh, I've had a crappy day, but at least I'm still breathing. So breath, it's something we all do, so it's something we all can relate to. Did you know that breath has 4 parts, 4 stages? And these 4 stages are happening every second of every single day. And if you can understand these 4 stages, you know what breathing is. And you can do it even better. How would you like to walk away breathing better today? That's good. Step 1, in the breathing process, the recognition that you need to breathe. Sounds simple. The reason it sounds simple is because your mind's doing it for you. Your mind's actually doing this every second of every day. It's going, oh, I need to breathe. 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 And what your mind does is it sends an electrical signal down to your lungs and tells it to expand. It says, we need to breathe. Step 1 is the recognition that you have to breathe, that you need air. And if you want to know what this feels like, well, just hold your breath for a while and wait for that recognition to become undeniable. Have you ever been under the water for a while? Maybe your older brother is holding you down? Just me? No? Well, after a while, you get this overwhelming sense that you need to breathe. That's where the breathing process begins. Step 1, the recognition, the mind going, oh, we need to breathe. That's where it all begins. That's where it all starts. The mind sending that signal, okay, time to take some breath in. Bless you. Just breathe, brother. Just breathe. Step 1, the recognition that you need to breathe. Step 2 in the breathing process is the active step. I call it letting it all in. Once you recognize that you need to breathe, your lungs expand and pull the air in and fills your body. Now, I say let it all in because to breathe properly, you can't just walk around like this. Exactly. To breathe properly, you have to let it all in. You have to let your lungs expand, and you have to let the oxygen move to your fingertips and your toe tips and the top of your head. I almost said hair, but I didn't. The top of your head. So step 2, the active step in the breathing process, is letting it all in. Taking all that air in, letting it fill your entire body. We don't breathe shallow, we breathe deeply. In fact, if something's going wrong in your life and you start to get tense, you might be told by a parent or a friend, breathe deeply. You know what they're telling you? Live. Just live. Just remind yourself you're still living. But I wrecked my car. My boyfriend dumped me. I have ankles. Breathe. Step 1, recognize that we need the breath. Step 2, let it all in. Fill your entire body with this wonderful thing called oxygen. Let it all in. Step 3, just like step 1, happens naturally. It's the natural gratitude that wells up in a body that's full of life and air. Once again, you're not thinking about this usually. You're not going, thank you. But I guarantee that your body is. I guarantee that your fingers, your toes, your esophagus, that's the only body parts I really know. I don't really know the lungs and stomach. Once you let all that breath in, your body rejoices. And once again, if you want to know how this feels, just hold your breath for 5 minutes, or 4, or 3, or 2, or however long you can. And then breathe and feel how every cell in your body rejoices. We have breath. We are alive. Brother's holding you down. I recognize that I need to breathe. I hear this voice. That's my mother going, let him up. He's dying. And then I pop up. I let it all in, and my body rejoices. Step 3, gratitude. A very important step in the breathing process. Now, step 4 is what I call the transition step. Step 4 is what makes the entire process possible. The entire breathing process hinges on the 4th step. Number 4 is what makes life. Release. I recognize that I need to breathe. I let it all in. I rejoice, but I can't just keep it. I can't own it. It's not my air. Nope. Can't have any of my air. This is mine. No, step 4, very, very important. I got to give it back. This thing I'm so grateful for, this oxygen that is filling me with life, the reason I am alive. If I want the process to continue, if I want to keep breathing, I have to return it. I have to give it back so that the process can start again. We are participating in breath. This is not your air. It is my air, and you're all breathing it. This is not your air. This air doesn't belong to us. We are living beings participating in an atmosphere of oxygen. We have to recognize we need it. We have to let it all in. The gratitude must arise, but then you got to give it back so that the process can start again. What's this got to do with spirituality? See, I didn't plan the next part of the talk, so I really have no idea. I'm waiting for it to come to me. I'm waiting for the Spirit to speak. Ruah, to breathe. No, seriously, it's the same thing. If you want to live a spiritual life, if you want to have a spiritual discipline, if you want to be someone who practices spirituality, if you want to walk around in a spiritual existence, if you want to be more spiritual, if you want to live an inspired life, a life in the Spirit, all you have to do is follow the same pattern. It's that simple. They knew. Whoever created that word ruah, whoever defined it pneuma, and then spiritus and spirituality, they knew something was speaking through them. They knew. We call it a revelation because God is revealed in the words. We knew that it's just breathing. Step 1, you have to recognize that you need a relationship with the ground of your being. Step 1, you have to recognize that life is more than just the movement of the waves. We spend a life living and thinking that life is the movement of the waves. Like, how was your day today? Oh, it was violent and turbulent. How was your day today? It was calm and peaceful. How was your day today? Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. We have to realize and recognize that we need to live a life more than just the movement. We need to recognize that we are the sea, and there's more depths to the sea than just the waves. There's more to all this than just the movement. We're caught up in activity all the time. We define our lives by how much we can do. What did you get done today? What did you get done today? What did you get done today? What are you doing today? What are you doing with your life? Oh, that's what my mother-in-law says. What are you doing with your life? But it says, seriously, it's a weird phrase, isn't it? Or a question. What are you doing with your life? How are you defining yourself? Are you making a good living? I have to make life? That's pretty egotistical, don't you think? I have to make life? This recognition that we need a life in the Spirit, that we need to live a spiritual existence, just comes from the fact that we are living a life of illusion and delusion. Because you would think that, well, God's everywhere. One of my favorite descriptors of what God is, and of course they're all just symbols that point to a reality. None of them actually describe it. But omnipresent, that's a good one. That's a great word, omnipresent. God is everywhere in its fullness at all times. There is as much God in your fingernail as there is in the entire universe. God is omnipresent, but if God is here always in its fullness, then why do I need to create a relationship with it? Because I'm delusional. Because of Maya, the veil of illusion. I think that my life is the movement. I think that my life is the movement of the waves. I don't realize that I am the sea. And the movement's just what's happening on the surface. There's a guy. What's his name? Quick. Paul. We already talked about Paul. Were you listening? John. Let's call him Blaze. There's a guy. I know, it's like I'm talking about a surfer. There's this dude named Blaze. No, Blaise Pascal. He's a famous thank you. Magician. I wanted to say a magician. He might have been a magician. Hi, I'm Blaise Pascal. I want to do a trick. Aren't you the guy who does the math? Yeah, okay. Blaise Pascal was a math magician. Now I can't say it ever right again. And he's also a theologian who had this great yet misguided idea. I love what it points to, but I completely disagree with the theology, so let's just look at it. Blaise Pascal said, we are each born with a God-sized hole in us. Wrong, but I can see what you're getting at. He is saying what a lot of us feel. I am missing something. I'm missing something. I'm defining my life by activity. I'm defining myself by personality and emotions and how many likes I got yesterday on the Facebook. I'm missing something. There's something missing. Now, you don't have a God-sized hole in you. You are each one of you perfect as you are. If anyone tells you different, give them my phone number, and we will have a spirited discussion. You're not missing anything, but you are a little bit delusional. At least most of us are. Because we think that this is all there is. We think that this is our life, that I have to make a living. I have to create a life, and I get caught in this cycle of waking up and going to bed and waking up and going to bed and never paying attention. Step one to living a spiritual life is recognizing that you need to live a spiritual life. I'm missing something. I want a connection with that. I want to know the foundations of my life beyond knowledge. I want to feel first thing in the morning the miracle coming through me, and I want to give that to everyone I meet. I want that. Bam, step one. And it's nothing I can make you realize. I can't shake you and say, recognize. If I had time, what time is it? If I had time, I would shake every one of you just to prove you that I can't shake you. I can't make you recognize that you need this. You have to recognize it yourself. It has to come up in you that I need something more than this life I'm living. And I think that that something more is right at the center. I need to get back there. So step one, recognition that you need a relationship to the ground of your being. Sounds pretty obvious. Step two, let it all in. The active step in spirituality, the one active step in the spiritual existence, letting it all in. Seeing life the way it is, walking out your door in the morning and just seeing. What's the line in the Elton John song? Have you seen yet? Wait, is that it? Have your eyes really seen? My man, Master Jay, said the same thing. If you have eyes, you will see. If you have ears, you will hear. Have your eyes really seen? What? Life. Have your eyes really seen life? Our mind loves to segment. Our mind loves to break life apart into little segments, into little pieces. We never see all of life. We just see little parts of it. We never let it all in. We never just see life for what it is. We never just see it. Someone might say to me, they might say, Andy, but why would I want to dwell on the pain? I didn't say dwell. That's what you've been doing. I didn't say focus on the one thing, because that's what the mind does. It focuses, it dwells on pleasure and pain. Isn't that crazy that the mind dwells on pleasure and pain equally? We dwell on pleasure to keep it going. I want more of this. I want more of this. I want to keep more of this. I want to control more. I want more of this. We dwell on pain to push it away. Nope, don't want this. Don't want this. Don't want this. Why is this happening to me? Why? Why? That same thing, suffering. A cycle of mental distress caused by dwelling. I didn't say dwell, I said see it all equally. Pleasure, pain, mountain, stream, tree, Buddha, Jesus, Lao Tzu, friend, neighbor, acorn, grain of sand. See it all equally. Wake up in the morning and just look for a moment. Just see life. The miracle of creation that's right in front of you. Because it's happening. In the beginning, no. That verse, that mythology, that spiritual text is not referring to something that happened 3.2 billion years ago. It's referring to something that's happening right now. Creation is happening now. God is creating right now, pouring itself, breathing into your life in this moment, filling you, animating you right now. And you get to see it if you only looked. Just look. Step 2 is letting it all in. Stop dividing life into segments and just see what a miracle it is. What a miracle it is to be alive. And that animating feature that moves through all of creation. And then, as you look, just look. I didn't say judge. I didn't say segment. I didn't say dwell upon. I said recognize you need something and just look. Just look. And what happens is step 3 happens automatically. I promise. As soon as you look at creation for what it is, deep in you, there wells up this overwhelming sense of gratitude, of thanksgiving. It pours through your body. It pours out of your fingers. What did Lin Chong-pao say? Or was it King Chong-pao? Ling Chong-pao, what did he say? That I just can't help but laugh because it's all equally beautiful. When you see life for what it is, the gratitude it pours out of your fingers because you are alive. I expected a little more. What? Wait, what did you say? So simple, yet so profound. You are alive. If you weren't alive, you would not be here to experience this. What a gift life is. What a gift every single moment is. Not just the pleasurable ones, the painful ones too. Not just the valleys, I almost went up. Not just the valleys, the peaks. Not just the ocean, the sand. All of it a miracle because you are here to experience it. You get to see it. God is animating you, breathing into your life right now. And as soon as you see that, as soon as you look, as soon as you see creation for what it is, a miracle singular. Life is not full of miracles plural. Life is a miracle singular. And every other miracle is just a reflection of that. Just the echo of the one thing that's creating. Once you see that, nothing but gratitude for being alive, for being here in this moment. And then we can move on to step 4, which the entire process hinges upon, which the participation in spirituality and spiritual living and spiritual things and living a life in the Spirit inspired hinges upon, which is giving it back. Life is a gift, and I give it back. Step 1, I just recognize that I need to connect to this. Step 2, I let it all in. I see life for what it is. Step 3, gratitude just wells up in me. Step 4, I can't help but give it away. And then you become that which causes others to begin the process. You become the breath of God moving in life. And other people see you and they go, oh, I want some of what she's got. I want some of what she's got. What is it? What is it? What do they have? Spiritual teachers teach with words and ideas, but most importantly, they teach with being. I want what he's got. I want what she's got. What is it? What is it? It's Ruah. What is Ruah? The breath of God. Where's that? Everywhere. Step 4, release. Become. All you had to do was recognize that you needed it. All you had to do was recognize that there's something at the base of your life calling to you. And then you had to let it in and experience the gratitude of walking in a miracle. And then you become the miracle. You walk out of your door as a breath of God giving to others. You release, and you give back. And then the process starts again. I need this. It's here. I'm going to let it in. I am so grateful. Have some. Have some. And in this process, this very simple process of recognition, allowing, gratitude, and release, eventually you may stumble upon the truth. You may. And that truth is the breath of God is not just within me. I am within the breath of God. The breath of God doesn't just animate me. The breath of God animates all of this. And there's no distinction. One thing moving through the processes of creation. That's the truth. God is in you. You are in God. There is no difference. That's the miracle of life. That's what we're stumbling upon. So guess what? We are all talking about the same thing. Spirit, spiritual, spirituality, spiritus, pneuma, ruah. We're all talking about the exact same thing. Life. We're talking about life. And all we had to do was breathe. It's that simple. Why don't you pray with me for a minute? This life that's in me, this life that I am within, this life that moves, this life that gives, this life that offers, this life that loves. I am just grateful to be a part of it. I'm just grateful to be here in this miraculous now, this here and now moment, this beginning, this end, this everything in between, this movement that moves me so that I may move you and then you can move someone else. I know that it's indefinable. I know I can't describe what spirit is. but I know it's within me. I know it's part of my life. I know it animates me. I know it moves me. So I'm going to make the choice today to recognize that. I'm going to make the choice today to live an inspired life, a life in spirit. To participate in the foundation of what this life actually is. Breath. Do me a favor, everyone, take a deep breath with me. You are alive, and so it is. Thank you for listening. Thank you.